Hello, everybody. I hope everyone had a great new year, and I hope it's going well so far for you on this one. I am going to take a minute of the beginning of this year to reflect on how good a year it was last year in gaming and list off my personal top 10 gaming experiences of the year. Now, unlike last time and last year, there are no DLC here, they are just games, so I guess you could just call it my top 10 games list. But that does not matter to me. What you call it, we are going to talk about some games today. And we're going to be starting with number 10, Still Wakes the Deep. This game is on Game Pass, and I recommend you play it if you have Game Pass right now. This game is The Mist and The Thing on an oil rig. And if that doesn't catch the ear of horror fans, or at least pique some people's interest that know about those and are even a little interested, I don't know what to say, man. Like, The Thing is one of the best movies ever, and I'm going to stand by that. But this game here gave me vibes from both of those. As you are navigating this maze of an oil rig and honestly getting to know characters at the very beginning that I honestly didn't feel like would be a major part of the story, or I didn't feel like would be even present very long, and some of them weren't. But even then, the characters in this stayed with me. They were compelling, interesting, and some were very funny. And so when things happened to them over the course of this very good story, and very original for a video game, I might add, uh, it really hurt. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. Um, Always have subtitles enabled if you don't know how to handle a thick Scottish accent, because this game is very Scottish. It's full of some pretty hilarious humor and a lot of slurs and things like that. But in between those, you got yourself a banging horror game with some great set pieces and a really memorable experience overall. Now for the more controversial pick on my list, because I know people love to just hate on it, and I totally get it. We're going to talk about Call of Duty. We're going to talk about Black Ops 6 being my number 9. Oh boy, I can hear the fans and haters seething right now, wondering why this is on a top 10, because Call of Duty sucks, right? It's terrible. Everyone hates it. It's at mixed on Steam and overwhelmingly negative most of the time. So what's the deal? Well, the deal is I don't care about a lot of the things that people hate it for. I don't care about the metas. I don't care about the little things, and yes, they are little things unless you live in Call of Duty. I care about the campaign experience. I am an old Call of Duty player. I care about the multiplayer experience. But I care very little about the Warzone experience, and I do care about zombies. Now, this Call of Duty had a lot going for it, and not just in content, but in development. This was made over multiple years instead of being one of the every year titles that Activision loves to shovel out to us. And that has made some differences here and there in how this game was approached, and it shows. The campaign was a fully fleshed out story, and it was quite good and lasted about 8 hours or so. That is, if you are taking your time and really exploring and really just taking in everything that was there, which I humbly did, because there was a lot of different types of missions, whether they were stealth or espionage or entire battlefields with an open zone that had you running from place to place trying to help, hunkered down soldiers and things like that. And of course, they had the usual Call of Duty chases and big bombastic set pieces. But this one also touched on a lot more personal notes and really got personal with some of its characters. And I love that more than anything. Your story cannot really exist without good characters to carry you through it, basically. And so the fact that it took some time to really make some compelling characters was a big change of pace already. And now that's not to say older games haven't had compelling characters, as Soap McTavish and that whole team still exist, right? Well, yeah, they existed and they're good characters, but we've seen them over and over and over. These are good new characters that I can really get behind. Now, past the campaign, you have multiplayer and zombies. Now, I have not spent a ton of time in these modes because there's been a lot of releases this year, but I have played at least 10 to 15 hours of each mode, which is a good enough amount of time to get a good idea of how much I like it and what's going on. And I can say I really enjoy the multiplayer experience, and I think the only things really bringing it down are the technical side of cheaters, and having better maps needs to be a thing, because these maps are fairly similar in their structure a lot of the time with the 3-lane tactic, which we do like the 3-lane tactic, but you gotta have some things to mix it up in there every now and again. Also, Omni movement in all of these modes feels pretty darn good, and after playing Call of Duty for a really long time, you can actually see it being a detriment to some folks because of how freely it lets you move in a 360-degree manner without slowing down or like having any kind of trip up. Basically, sprinting side to side and backwards and diving. It's just fun, and it really brought a lot of replay-worthy moments. Oh boy, we're gonna bring that C word up again. For number 8, we're calling in Power World. Everybody hold up a wall because Nintendo's lawyers are coming in. They do not like when you step up and outshine their properties. Oh boy.
I got that out there.
Even though Power World is getting plenty of trouble these days, I think it deserves every bit of accolades that it gets. I think this is a great game, and I revisit it often. I'm not very far in it because I very much take my time, and I'm not really using a lot of exploits and things like that, and I'm just unlucky. But this game is fun, and it takes a great premise from a loved IP and flips it on its head to make a great survival game. It feels good to play and has interesting mechanics with your pals, with having them take over jobs at your camp and do different things. And yes, this is Slavery Simulator. Let's get it out of the way. But it is a lot of fun, and that's basically what Pokemon was too, so fight me.
It's cute. It will be
This game has a long way to go still being in early access, but the last couple content drops have been pretty darn good, and this most recent one being the largest. The newest Faybreak update brought a bunch of new areas to go explore, new pals, new systems, gadgets, buildings, everything. And this was all for free, just an update to the game. So if you are looking for a survival game, or even just a game to play, even with your kids, or just your family, or whatever, Power World is a good time.
What up? Oh shit, there's a naked lady.
Don't look at me! Don't look at me!
Damn. Where you going, honey? Oh, about to take you. I'm gonna smack you with this pal ball. Oh.
You know how shitty that would be if you could capture me?
Ah, it's a man. I'm just kidding.
Heading forward to number 7, Marvel Rivals. Oh boy, is this game taking over everything. It's everywhere. If you haven't heard about it, you're living under a rock. But let's talk about it. Marvel Rivals is the newest Overwatch killer that is actually getting pretty close to killing Overwatch. And that's pretty shocking. And kind of not shocking at the same time, considering how Overwatch has treated their player base. But that's another conversation for another video. Marvel Rivals, however, is oozing with style. It's oozing with characters. So many characters that are given out for free. And not only that, but these are some of the best Marvel character designs in some time. I'm not going to say ever because that's a high bar, but they are fantastic. And for the most part, every character plays how you would imagine, with my personal exception of the Hulk with his bubble shield. That's a little weird. But this game plays so smooth, and it's crazy high population right now that's in the millions, and concurrent players on Steam are consistently 300k plus. And with that, you get matches darn near instantly. And when you are in the matches, they can always play out wildly different due to a few different things. One of those being destructible environments. Now, these aren't like Battlefield style destructible maps, no, but they do have enough destruction in them to break walls and create choke points and things that can bring a level of uniqueness to every match. This and the seasonally rotating bonuses of using certain characters with other characters really facilitates a more high skill ceiling, with people choosing characters that, play well with others. They can get damage boosts and augmentations. They can use certain abilities with each other. There is so much to this game underneath the surface that it was surprisingly deep for me. And with this being free to play, the microtransactions aren't egregious, but they are a bit expensive. But with it being free to play, we can mostly forgive this. And it has a battle pass that when you purchase can be earned anytime. It won't expire. On all accounts, this was a great release this year, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the future. Now the next one I know can make some people hot in the collar, and maybe that's just because of the recent Game Awards. Aha, now you know what it is now. Astrobot. Now I want to preface this by saying to all y'all Black Myth fans out there that I feel you. I do. Y'all game look like a masterpiece. I have not played it. It is my sin of this year that there was a lot going on this year and I was playing a lot of things. And I played a hell of a lot of Baldur's Gate 3. I just didn't get to it. But I did get to Astrobot, and oh goodness, this game is so darn good. And yes, you could classify this as a giant ad for Sony, but at the same time, you could pass it in the same category as things that are just celebrating what has come before. And for me, it kind of fell in both categories. The celebration part, even more so, with how many different characters from a lot of different properties that I ended up finding and just absolutely losing my mind, being like, oh my god, look at that. Look who showed up. It's the hunter from Bloodborne. It's Solid Snake. It's Gray Fox. I was absolutely ecstatic most of the time. And it's an excitement that was kept up by the inventiveness of the tools given and the levels that were laid out to you to use those tools in. Each area, each galaxy in this had a bunch of levels in it, and a lot of the levels had some kind of theme or tool to them that was just a joy to play with. And that is the entire consensus of this. It is just a joy. It doesn't do anything crazy new. It doesn't do anything to reinvent the wheel. It takes existing ideas, and sometimes to its detriment with some comparisons that can be made, and I don't need to name no names, Mario. Something caught in my throat there. But that doesn't hold it back for me. In fact, I think it's to its benefit. It takes everything that we know we love about them and applies it to a super sleek and a really tight feeling platformer with some of the best controls I've felt in a 3D platformer in a long time. Astrobot absolutely deserves its spot on your shelf, in your digital library, and on my list. And now for some personal childhood warm and fuzzies. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero came out this year, and it dropped like a nuke on the fighting community, and rightfully so. This was the best feeling Dragon Ball game to play since Fighters, in my opinion. I really loved Fighters, but that was definitely, Marvel vs. Capcom style. This took it all the way back to Budokai And this is our new Budokai Tenkaichi game. And oh boy, this is a hell of a game. Every hit you can feel, you can hear the impact, you can just get so caught up in the rush of combat in this game, especially with how intricate the controls are to this game, and the amount of different things and combat moves that you can pull off is quite staggering. Actually, I love the combat encounters in this because of how your fighting mechanics work. Sometimes you'll be tossing each other through mountains most of the time, sometimes you'll be trading blasts most of the time, and sometimes you will be up in each other's face, you know, doing fast teleports behind each other, doing everything from the show, double fist down to the ground type goodness, man. It is just so fun. And on top of going through the usual story, which, you know, we all know is going to be there, we all know the story, this game actually had new content in the form of some what ifs, and these what if episodes told some stories that I won't spoil here in case you haven't played this, so I won't show them, but they're worth playing because if you're a Dragon Ball fan, they will basically do for you what if for Marvel has done for Marvel, and it is super interesting. The roster in this game is quite large, and the graphics are wonderful. I'm not sure what else I was asking for. This is everything I wanted in this game.
Turn anger into power.
And now, for number 4, rise up, fellow Helldivers. It's time to talk about our game. Helldivers 2 landed this year, and it took over the internet for like an entire month or two until Sony went over and pulled the plug on a bunch of people in like 100 and something countries. Come on, Sony, let's get this taken care of. I mention it every time I mention Helldivers, and I'm not going to stop because it's stupid. Take it off, put it back, let the people play. Anyway, that aside, the game itself is a blast. It has a wonderful sense of humor, and if you are a Starship Troopers fan, you're going to feel right at home. The super tactile gameplay is the biggest thing going for this. You won't have any hand holding here. This game is actually pretty hard. There's not even automatic reload. And like, that's not a big deal for me, but some people who aren't accustomed to certain types of games, maybe like old SOCOM or, you know, old military like Ghost Recon, like the old ones, like may struggle here because there's some tactile things where like you got to keep track of your bullets. You fire your whole clip, you have to reload at the very end. You've only got so many clips, right? You got to call in your stratagems at the right time. Work with your team. Make sure you're not killing your team. And things like that. And all against 3 different factions, because now we got 3. The Bugs, the Terminators, I mean automatons, and the Illuminate. Which the Illuminate is what we were waiting for so long. An old faction from the first Helldivers, and their arrival has been nothing short of great. And also nothing short of hilarious, because the first time they showed up, the community went and wiped them off the map. Literally. They were gone for a few days and had to come back. Talk about dedication. For Super Earth, my friends. For Super Earth.
I'm gonna die. Ah, shit. I got one, though. I got some. There's gonna be less. He's on your cheeks, bro. He's on your cheeks.
I know. I'm calling a friend.
Bitch, that's me, not a fucking turret. Call me. You call me. I'm the friend.
And now for the cream of the crop. The top 3 games that I played this year that I thought were the best experiences and that I'm going to be talking about for a long time. Number 3, Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Oh, praise be to this game. It is the most 360 era game I've ever played for like the last maybe 10 years or so. man, with the exception of maybe Evil West, which didn't reach nearly as high as this game. So I don't even know where to start with this. Everything in Warhammer is dark and bleak and just so gritty, but everything about Space Marine 2 makes you want to just take it in. Every piece of grit, every drop of blood, every scream from your brothers in arms. You want to be there. You want to be in the action, man. And you want to stop sometimes and admire these skyboxes, because the art style in this game is immaculate. Oh my gosh. And with how well it runs on PC, I am surprised. I am truly. The optimization team has killed it in this one, for sure. This game had a great campaign and a refreshing, unapologetically masculine tone throughout the entire experience. This was such a breath of fresh air, and it even came with multiplayer and co-op modes that kind of reminded me of a time when almost every game kind of had a tacked on multiplayer mode that everyone could just play for the fun of it. And you know, that's what this is. The multiplayer mode and the co-op modes aren't like the craziest thing ever, but they just added more value to what I was already enjoying, adding so much replay value. And even now, they have added so much more to the co-op experience that it is like 2 times the experience that it was before. And this is just such an easy recommendation from me and easily made it to the top 3. I didn't even have to question where this one belonged. Warhammer, you got a special place in my heart now. And Saber Interactive, who have made this, I would love to say thank you. And for the Emperor! Oh, damn. God damn, son. That was fucking gangster. Oh boy, at number 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I have loved these remakes of Final Fantasy VII, and I love the original so much. Deep place in my heart for that game. But man, Rebirth essentially expands on what is essentially the filler part of Final Fantasy VII. That middle part where a lot of the time is spent, but it's mostly spent in mini games and just fleshing out the world. And sure, that's not really filler, but it's definitely not the exciting part of the story. That's at the beginning and the end. First third, second third, everyone knows this. But Rebirth actually took this section and made it a much more compelling narrative. And not only that, but just kept the momentum of the story going. And especially with the many expansive mini games and even one Queen's Blood that I absolutely obsessed over this one. I would first check for Queen's Blood opponents in every area I went to. This card game will take you over, much like Gwent in The Witcher. It is the closest comparison I can make. But this game is also beautiful when you're not playing these cards. You can just walk around and just admire the scenery at all times, with the exception of some funky trailing and some artifacting when you're in front of water. But that's about the only thing that's negative about this.
I'll give them hell. Let's do this. Let's finish this. Gotcha.
Bring it.
Now to my number 1 game of the year. And I bet a bunch of people forgot about this game and don't even remember that it exists. But it's from one of my favorite series, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, or as some people know it as, the Yakuza series. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is the 8th numbered game in the series. And oh man, oh boy, if you have stuck around with this series, this game gave you everything that you wanted. It gave you the story. It gave you the characters. It gave you the deep, turn-based, like the last game, combat that I so enjoyed from the last Like a Dragon game. It brought build crafting up to another level and such a good sense of humor, but at the same time was not afraid to completely shatter my soul and bring me to tears like some of the previous games. And if you've seen the marketing material for this, it is not a spoiler, but Kiryu, the main leading man in this one, is diagnosed with cancer and is going to die. And this game basically goes along with him and his journey of acceptance, the journey of learning from his mistakes, learning from his past, and maybe learning how to live even though he's faced with death. And this was such a poignant and great story. And I won't lie, it hit me really deep because I myself am a cancer survivor, and this got me. And it wasn't enough to put it to get my game of the year for sure, but it definitely helped me gain a certain understanding and respect for the writing in this game and how it respected the feelings and the situation and didn't bring a like pitiable light on this. Nothing's wrong with Kiryu, really. He's just got a disease and he really needs to figure his life out. And this game really takes you through that, man. It has you looking at characters that you already knew very differently, especially even Kiryu, and going through some past events with him looking back on things that have transpired before. Really get emotional if you've been with this story a long time. And this game had 2 very large open areas. I've spent well over 100 hours in like the 150 to 60 hour mark now in my New Game Plus run on hard, because this game is just that good. I don't even replay games though that much except for like dipping into them every now and again. But like I played the crap out of this one, and it sits as my top played game on PlayStation right now, and at least for this year. So please, if you haven't given the Yakuza series a go, you should definitely do that. It's more widely available than ever, it's on sale a lot of the time, and is so rewarding to get into. And even though the story in this one wasn't concluded, I still found myself very satisfied at the end because I still felt like I had a whole experience. I had laughed, I had cried, and I had played my heart out at the end. So go out and get this. Go out and play it if you haven't yet. And let me know what your guys' number 1 game of the year was. Man, I even put your whole list down there. I would love to see what everyone's top games are, to see who's out there watching me, you know? Let's start more conversations. I've loved that people have had more conversations on the channel lately, and I want to keep that up. Till next time, peace.
I'll want your wallet and your smartphone. And you know what happens if you say no, don't you?
You're gonna shoot me? You? Really?
You bet your ass.
I ask because I don't think you can.
Huh?
A lot of people say America's some gun-crazy cowboy country. But I doubt many of those cowboys know what it really means to pull the trigger.
The hell's your point? Hey!
You want to know if someone's gonna shoot you? Look at their eyes. A little practice, and you'll get the hang of it.